Good morning, boys and girls. It's Uncle Dick again, and I have 3 stories to read to you today. It's a nice rainy day, and whenever it rains and it's hard to go outside, that's a good time to listen to stories or read stories. And so, my first story is Ka'imi's First Roundup. Ka'imi's. Now, if I'm pronouncing that word wrong, I'm not real familiar with the Hawaiian language, so if some of you know how to say it better, next time you see me, just tell me how to say it and I'll try to do better. So, anyways, this is a story about Ka'imi's First Roundup. And my second story is, do princesses really kiss frogs? And my last story for today is, how do dinosaurs go to school? So here we go. Ka'imi's First Roundup. And there's a picture of Ka'imi and a grown-up person. Ka'imi's First Roundup. The morning was still dark when Papa's truck rumbled up to the corral, and Ka'imi was wide awake. Today was his first roundup. You see it's dark out and the lights are on in the pickup truck and the stars are still out. The Panahole were already in the pen, finding their horses and leading them away. Papa caught a buckskin mare for himself and a gelding paint for Ka'imi. Ka'imi stroked the horse's soft nose as Papa hoisted the saddle onto its back. When the horses were ready, Papa reached into his saddlebag and brought out a fine ka'ula ila, a rawhide rope. Boy, Papa said, all you need is one strong horse, one strong heart, and one strong ka'ula ili. If you have these things, you can be a paniola. Ka'imi's heart danced as Papa handed him the ka'ula ili, the rope. All week he had watched Papa make it, stretching the leather, cutting it into strands, and weaving it into a tight braid. More than anything, Ka'imi wanted to use it today to rope a bull for Papa. Ka'imi rode with the Panihole into the vast, quiet grassland. Not even the birds made a sound, and the last crickets of the night fell silent as the horses approached. All Ka'imi could hear was the muted thump of hoofballs and the whisper of wind through the yellow grass. The earth was in shadows, and the sky was streaked with blue, pink, and gold. The cowboys rode many miles across the wind-blown pasture, but found no sign of the cattle. Ka'imi practiced roping the bushes, imagining they were bulls, until Papa told him to stop. They tromped through the tana patch startling a wild boar. He streaked away with a squeal, but not even Papa reached for his hunting gun. Today was not for hunting. They rode all morning until the sun was high in the sky. Ka'imi wondered if they would ever find the cattle. At last they stopped at the foot of the tall Puyu bulging from the plains. At a nod from the foreman, Papa spurred his horse to the top of the hill. He stopped there and gazed in the direction. He gazed in one direction, then the other, from the mountains to the sea. When he rode down again, he was smiling. The cattle are on the other side of the Pu'u. Not far away, he said. The Panioli slipped quietly into their positions, and the foreman gave them silent orders with his hands. Nobody wanted to scare away the cattle. Papa leaned over, so close to Ka'imi, so close Ka'imi could feel the warmth of his whiskers, his whiskery cheek. "Ride with me, boy," he whispered. "Stay close and do what I do." Ka'imi's hands flew to his kaula'ila, finding a chance to rope a bull. Papa smiled and shook his head. "But put that away for now. You won't need it today," he said. Then he moved to a spot near the back of the herd. Ka'imi's heart sank. How could he show Papa he was a real Paniholi if he couldn't even rope one bull? But he knew better than to argue. The roundup began. Across the pasture, Ka'imi heard the cowboys shout as they drove scattered groups of cows and calves into a tight herd. He and Papa moved in on a bunch, grazing in a stand of guava trees. "Hey, hey, hey!" they shouted as they waved their hats and slapped their thighs. The animals stared at them with big eyes, then glanced around fearfully. Just as they began to move, a young mother cow bolted, scattering the group like spilled marbles. Whoa, look at that one. Papa's horse sprang after the runaways. "I'll catch them. You hold the rest," he shouted, just before he disappeared into the brush. One cow stood on the far side of the clearing, another hid behind a distant tree, and another peered out from a tangle of scrub. They all watched him, ready to run. How could he hold them in one place? Ka'imi prodded his horse toward the nearest cow, hoping to drive it closer to the others. But it dashed into the bush. The next one followed, and the next. Each cow he approached ran away until he had lost them all. Ka'imi wished he could run away too. He had only wanted to show Papa he was ready to be a Paniolo. Instead, he had lost all the cattle. In the distance, the herd bellowed and snorted, and the cowboy shouted, Marahope, Marahope, Marahoma, Hele, Hele, Hele. As the cowboys drove in the last of the herd, Ka'imi heard another sound above the din. Moo, moo, moo. He followed the cries through the twisting paths of the thicket. In a small clearing, a tiny calf called and called for its mother. Its cries grew louder as the herd got further away. Ka'imi nudged his horse closer to the frightened baby. He knew what he had to do. As Ka'imi approached the roundup, he saw a large... Did I miss a page? No, I didn't. As Ka'imi approached the roundup, he saw a large herd with lots of new calves. The Paniolo were laughing, happy that they would be paid well for the day's work. But Papa had a worried look, and Ka'imi realized he'd been gone a long time. Hooey! Called Ka'imi from across the field. Everyone stopped to watch as he rode out of the forest, leading the calf with his beautiful new Ka'ulaia. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that, but with his rope. Papa broke into a big smile. He swung down off his horse and kneeled in the dust. He checked the calf's mouth and eyes, felt carefully down each of its legs, and finally leaned over to peer under its belly. Peepee came, he announced. Boy, you roped your first bull. The Panahole cheered and slapped Ka'imi on the back. Papa put his heavy hand on Ka'imi's shoulder, beaming his approval. Ka'imi's heart soared. Lucky I had my Ka'ulaila, he said. Yes, Papa said. Now you are a real Paniolo. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story. I did. Ka'imi's first roundup. When I was a boy, I used to read stories about and have read to me stories of cowboys and Indians. And I didn't know it from the Hawaiian point of view, so it's nice for me to learn that. The next story is, do princesses really kiss frogs? Do princesses really kiss frogs? And it's dedicated to my mom and dad for their pioneer spirit. Elsie. That's the author of the book. Daddy, what do princesses wear on a hike? As long as it's sensible, they wear whatever they like. How does she carry her water and snack? She carries her things in her favorite backpack. What does she see when she looks in the creek? Hold my hand and you take a peek. Daddy, do princesses really kiss frogs? They'd much rather kiss their very own dogs. Do princesses stop and smell flowers? They've been known to do that for hours. What if a bee lands on the end of her nose? The bee must have thought that her nose was a rose. Will she meet a dragon when she comes around the bend? Oh, that would be fun for us to pretend. Do princesses keep all the rocks that they find? Maybe we'll ask if the ranger would mind. Do princesses like to climb on the boulders? I think you'd see better than from the top of my shoulder. What if a princess gets hungry and tired? Then I'd say a treat and a rest are required. Do you like to take a snack when you go on a walk? I do. Do princesses dangle their toes in the river? If they don't mind getting a bit of a shiver. Will princesses get to see rabbits and deer? You never know what they might see and hear. Oh, you see the deer and the animals? Daddy, is that a real cowboy hiking this way? As real as this princess with me today. Oh, Daddy, look at the view. There's something about it that reminds me of you. And then it says, a princess by nature. And then it says, put your picture right here if you're a princess. And the next page talks about a scavenger hunt. The princess is going on a scavenger hunt. Can you help her find all the things listed below as she hikes through the book? Oh, and this is what you could do if we could look back. A moon, a butterfly, a fish, a ladybug, a spider, footprints, a trail marker, a chipmunk, a bird's nest, a waterfall, an ant, mushrooms, a rainbow. Can you go on your own scavenger hunt too before going on a walk with your family and friends? Make your own checklist of things to look for. You never know what you might see and hear. And that's the end of the book. Do princesses really catch frogs? Kiss frogs. And now, how do dinosaurs go to school? And there's a whole bunch of dinosaurs, and it gives names for each one. How do dinosaurs go to school? By Jane Yolen. For Dynamite editor Bonnie Verberg, who has always loved these books, JY. To Bonnie Verberg for making great books, and to Kathy Westray for making them beautiful. So it's Katby Westray, and she must have been the person who did the illustrating that made the pictures that you're looking at. How does a dinosaur go to school? Does he walk? Does he ride in a busy carpool? Does he drag his long tail? Is he late for the bus? Does he stomp all 4 feet? Does he make a big fuss? When he gets to school, does he roughhouse and punch? Does he make a quick grab for a classmate's packed lunch? Does he race up the stairs right ahead of the bell? Does he interrupt class with his own show and tell? Does a dinosaur yell? What do you think? Does he growl during chalk talks or roar out of turn? Does he stir up the classroom by making a noise? A dinosaur carefully raises his hand. He helps out his classmates with projects they've planned. Oh, you see that? They're building a tower with the blocks. At recess, he plays with a number of friends and growls at the bullies till bullying ends. He tidies his desk and then leaps out the door. Good work, little dinosaur. The end. Okay, so that's the 3 books that I have for you today. And if you take a look outside my window, oh,